Hi Bobby, how you doing today?
Good, Doc. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking. What's been going on this last week?
You know, I seem to have this anger that's just under the surface with me.
Mm-hmm.
Day to day I seem fine, but something as small as somebody pulling out in front of me just seem to have this visceral reaction that just kind of reminiscent of maybe some old issues that are really resurrecting.
Alright, so you have some anger that's been maybe bubbling to the surface a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it comes out, sounds like when you're driving
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. It's a strong reaction, and you think it might be tied to something that happened to you before.
I think so.
Do you know what it might be tied to?
Well, I had a relationship that was somewhat abusive, and I took it over a long period of time. I think I took it over a very long period of time, and I think I'm angry about that.
So you endured abuse for a long period of time, and that's causing the anger.
I think so. I think I was a victim for a long period, and I never got a voice.
And you never got a voice. And this has been troubling you. Let me suggest a technique we could try. It requires some imagination,
Okay.
right? But I think it might be helpful for you. You said this happened a while ago with the abuse.
Yes.
And what I'm thinking is it would be helpful if there was a way, and I would be pretending here, but there's a way to communicate with that past self, that person, it's you in the past that was abused.
Well, yeah. I mean, the victim, me.
The victim you. So what I'm going to do, I have this chair here, and I'm just going to pull this chair in front of you.
Okay.
And I realize it's empty, but I want you to imagine a past version of yourself being seated in the chair.
Okay.
Now, before I do that, I want us to decide what, in terms of time, when this past self is. Like, is there a particular year or season or time of your life that we can set for this past version of you?
Yeah, it was the summer of 1993, actually.
The summer of '93?
Yes.
All right, so you'll be, so let me just pull this over here. And I'm just going to situate this right in front of you.
Okay.
All right. So this will be in this chair, this empty chair, will be summer of 1993 you.
Okay.
All right, so tell me before you start talking directly to your past self, what are you going through at this time?
Right now?
No, the
What am
past.
I going back in 1993? I've stayed in a relationship for a very long time with somebody who is an alcoholic. He has a daughter that I'm very attached to, and I don't want to abandon her, but he is horribly abusive, and I just feel totally debilitated by it.
Now, what type of abuse is this?
It was verbal abuse, emotional abuse.
Emotional abuse.
Yes.
It sounds pretty bad. It was a bad time.
It was awful.
And this summer of '93 version of you, during this time, this was a really rough period of that.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so that's kind of sets the stage. Right?
Okay.
So I know who you're talking to. All right. So Bobby, I'm going to direct your attention toward the chair.
Okay.
All right, and I want you to, again, I know this requires use of imagination, but try to imagine the summer of '93 Bobby seated there. What would you like to say to her?
Well, I'm really angry at her.
And go ahead, you can say it
I
right
can
to
say
her.
it? Okay. Why did you put up with that? I mean, I'm angry with you. It changed our lives. I mean, I'm furious that you put up with that abuse and you thought you were worth that little, and I'm furious that you thought you were helping his daughter and all you really did was set a really bad example.
What's it feel like to?
I mean, I feel it rising in me. I have this visceral reaction. I'm so angry. I'm just so angry. I don't even know if I can express that. I'm just furious that that she took it for as long as she did in front of this other young girl. I mean, she was in high school. I mean,
Can you tell her? Can you tell her
Yeah,
that?
it was a horrible example to set. I mean, it was an awful way to treat anybody. You've never treated anybody that way. You've never encouraged anybody to. You certainly never had that model for you, and you took it. I mean, they lived in your home. You had the assets. You had a good job. There was not a reason to take what you took, and you just kept taking it and feeling worse and worse, and it changed who you are.
All right. So as you express these feelings toward your past self, what are you feeling in your own body?
I can feel the tension rise up, but I do feel a little bit of a relief from saying, what the hell were you thinking?
Mm-hmm. And how would past you now answer? So you said part of what you need to say. How is she responding back to you?
It's not that simple. I love him, and I'm not a quitter. I didn't want the relationship to fail. He had an alcohol problem I wanted to help him with. I was foolish enough to think back then that I had enough control to have more influence than I did, but more than that, I don't want to abandon, his daughter. I was very attached to her, and she never had a mother, and I didn't want to quit on her. I just wasn't ready to sacrifice them for me.
All right. So past Bobby's kind of made an argument saying that maybe things weren't as simple as they seem. How would you respond to that? How would you answer her response?
I understand that. I actually do understand that. But you paid a much bigger price than you ever realized at the time. That's primarily what I'd say is you were worth more than that. In spite of what you wanted to do for them, you were still worth more than that.
You were worth more than that. All right. So let's end this part of the exercise, right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna push the empty chair away. All right. Kind of push past Bobby away for a moment. What was that like to talk to an imaginary version of a past self?
What brought my anger down, because I'm so angry that I forget that there seemed to be good reasons that didn't reflect I was a bad person then, just reflected that I didn't make myself the priority that I should. But I did stay because I wanted to help others and because I cared deeply. It helps me have a little balance to this anger that I feel, because I can only see one side of it this many years down the road.
So your past self, that conversation helped you realize that there were reasons why you acted the way you acted.
Yeah.
And there were valid reasons.
Yeah. Understandable reasons.
Understandable reasons. And that helps to lessen the anger a little bit.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like in your body now after this exchange is over with your past self?
I feel a little calmer because, one, I express the anger, but also because I'm a little more in touch with it wasn't that simple.
So you have a better understanding of what happened then.
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah. And that helps you to cope a little more effectively in the present with some of these feelings of anger.
I think so.
Okay. Did you find that to be a useful exercise?
Very.
Was it?
Very.
Help you gain some insight into what was going on?
Yeah, because when it happened that long ago, but it's affected you for so long, it's easy to lose sight of the reasons at the time, and then to just get focused on being angry about what shouldn't have happened.
So this gave you some clarity.
Yeah.
All right. If you could, I'd like you to reflect on kind of what you gained in terms of insight from this exercise. And if you're okay with that, after reflecting on it for the week, when I see you again next week, we'll kind of pick up where we left off and continue working and seeing where this anger is.
Okay, I like that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Bobby. I'll see you next week.